G'day viewers. Well, this week Richard Dawkins decided to show, yet again, that intelligence is no barrier to acting like a complete tool. He posted a series of deliberately inflammatory tweets and then acted all surprised that people got inflamed. You know, the result he was after. It's a little disheartening when you see someone who's obviously smarter than me in virtually any measurable way is still into acting like a 14-year-old troll who wishes he could grow a neck beard. I have no idea why this guy is so addicted to negative attention. I mean, did he have a book coming out? Is that why he wants everyone talking about him, no matter the context? It's also pretty disappointing to see all these slavish little acolytes worshipping at the Dawkins altar and singing from the Dawkins hymn book whenever their high priest commands it. And yes, I am using religious language deliberately to annoy them, because I want to annoy them. Hey, what can I say? I'm childish. What's Dawkins' excuse? He's the one who's supposed to be smart. The idea that you can make a deliberately obnoxious comment on a really sensitive topic and effectively just wipe aside the suffering of literally millions of people, and then say, what? You're being emotional about that? Why would you be emotional about it? It's actually quite stupid to present that as a sensible argument. But hey, for the moment, let's actually sweep aside all the emotive elements and just be logical and factual, look for some evidence and point out exactly why Dawkins was flat out wrong in his statement, which, in case you missed it, he tweeted that, date rape is bad. Violent rape at knife point is worse. If you think this is an endorsement of date rape, go away and learn how to think. And then he went on to post pretty much exactly the same thing about pedophilia, because he's edgy, he's challenging people. He's a fucking wanker is what he is. You see, saying those things might not be an endorsement of date rape, but his statement is still wrong. All the fanboys go, oh no, it's a syllogism. You just don't understand. Fuck you, I understand. He's not making a syllogism. He's making an inflammatory statement to say, look at me, I'm Richard Dawkins. Everyone look at me. I'm smarter than all those proles. And here is where he lets himself down badly. And I'm assuming it's his ego he's tripping over, because it's a ridiculously stupid mistake to make. The first incorrect thing he's done is to say there's like an objective measurement scale for the amount of suffering and damage caused by different types of rape. And of course he knows, because he's smarter than everyone else, this is obviously worse than this. But where is this objective measurement scale? Define what are the things that says this is worse than this. Don't just make a big sweeping statement because you know. Who does that sound like to you when someone says, oh, it's just like that because I know? It sounds an awful lot like a religious fundamentalist. Let's look at that in a bit more detail. He says that date rape, however that's defined in his special mind, is not as bad as rape at knife point. Probably ignoring the number of date rapes or known party rapes that happen at knife point. But he said it's not as bad. See, that's not a fact. That's an opinion, and a really poorly informed opinion. And it's also really dangerous, because that attitude, that's not as bad, that's why, 80 to 90% of these crimes don't get reported, because people belittle it. They say it's not that serious when you probably asked for it anyway. And all these fanboys go, oh no, he never said that. He said he's not endorsing date rape. What he said is it's not as bad. That is factually wrong. It pisses me off, because saying things like that, those words have power. Talk to people who work in the area of sexual assault, and they will tell you, of that message, date rape's not as bad as knife point rape, the only thing that gets through to rapists is, that's not as bad. It's like I'm almost not doing anything wrong. Actually, I'm not doing anything wrong. I didn't use a knife. It wasn't a rape. And it's really disturbing how widespread that mentality is in law enforcement and courts, the media, and a really disturbingly large section of the population. As soon as you, in your ignorant way, say, that's not as bad, you are offering up an excuse to the people who fucking do it. I get that it's easy to feel that date rape is not as bad as knife point rape by a stranger, but a rational, logical thinker like Dawkins shouldn't be swayed by feelings, by this gut feeling. I have no evidence, but I just feel like that isn't as serious. That is not rational, scientific thinking. That is ignorant and bigoted and straight up wrong. What about a woman who was only date raped and then she has her life ruined because she's an outcast, because people blame her? How did you let it happen? I don't think it really happened. You're just trying to cause trouble. You're a slut. You're a whore. You asked for it. That happens more often than not. And when your life's ruined, do you care whether there was a knife involved? In fact, when there's a knife involved, it's far less likely that you'll be treated like that. So that's like some evidence right there that date rape can be considerably worse for the victim than rape at night point. There's some fucking evidence, okay? That's what you want when you make these statements. You want evidence, not, I feel like this is the way it is. What if someone's raped by a family member or a partner and their whole world falls apart because now they can't trust anyone because the person they were meant to be able to trust the most betrayed them? That it's really not uncommon for someone in that situation to suffer such severe social phobias they literally can't lead their lives. They are trapped, like they can't go outside. They can't even see other people. They're not able to speak to family members. Their life is over because of this betrayal. Doesn't that sound like that's a bad thing right there? Possibly worse than the outcome of being raped by a stranger? I'm not saying it is. I'm saying you need evidence before you spout these ridiculous statements. How about a man who's raped by another man? If that's done by coercion or, say, spiking his drink rather than being violent and using a weapon, imagine the stigma attached to that. Men in particular are told, well, you should have been able to resist that. I think you probably actually wanted it. And that's where you get things not being reported. That's where you get someone's life falling apart. That is not a rape at knife point, but the outcome can be way worse. See what I'm getting at? He's just wrong. How about a man who was raped by a woman? Those crimes almost never get reported because the victim is mocked. They're told it's not even possible when it is. And it's like, really? Really? You're saying you didn't like it? What's wrong with you? That's where someone's life is shattered by a non-violent rape. And so where is this scientific, objective, measurable set of harm for rape? See, it's when you're out there being a glib wanker and you're betraying your whole rational thought thing and you're being a prick while you're doing it. In simple terms, Dawkins uses the techniques of his most hated enemies, the religious fundamentalists, whenever he feels like it. Oh, this is simply the case because I know that this is worse than this. What scientific evidence? What empirical measurements? What studies have been done? No, I just know, okay? I just know. It's wrong, it's stupid, and it's ignorant. And when Dawkins and his fanboys want to spout this shit and say, oh no, there's something wrong with you for being upset when I said that horrifically upsetting thing. That is the worst and lowest form of moral and intellectual cowardice imaginable. You should be ashamed of yourself.